I'm saying you could argue that if my daughter is going to, at 13, is going to be promiscuous, I'd rather have her be promiscuous with a 19-year-old than with another 13-year-old. In some ways, that's more likely to be stable than with another 13-year-old. And
no, because it's not just more likely to be quote-unquote stable. It's also way more likely for that young girl to be manipulated. The prefrontal cortex, which is the more rational part of your brain.
Okay, so but maybe sometimes a female whose brain isn't very well developed can entrust herself to a man who will help make her good.
If she's under the age of 18, she cannot entrust herself to that man because she does not have the capacity by which she can make that adequate sensual decision. You're not just arguing with law here, you're arguing with the scientific literature, which
so according to you, women can't make any decisions that they'll be held accountable for until they're 25 years old.
Did I say any decision? Did I say every decision?
You hate young women.
Did I say every decision?
I was having an argument with your mods who are fucking fascist losers. You should get new mods in there.
You're not not the literal groomer defender calling my mods losers, bro.
Okay, so
you've lost this conversation.
So fuck you, Hunter. You've lost on every level. Okay. You can't. I'm arguing a point, and you're already the judge, jury, and executioner. So now, because I'm arguing a point intelligently,
my friend, you're the executioner here. You just shot yourself in the foot with this conversation.
You're dead on YouTube. You are dead on the internet.
Because first the chatter said, I like the mods because I can get away with calling people DILFs. And then the guy responded, I like them for that too. Slide into my DMs sometimes, sweetheart. Flirting. And then blah, 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 blah. He caught me off guard. I'm 17. Then they say I'm 17. And that's when he said, oh, okay, I didn't know we can still talk. Wait, is Grace Thorpe now commenting here? What's wrong with my dad talking to a 17-year-old? Talking how? What do you mean talking? Do you mean like my dad sat down with a 17-year-old because he's a professor and was going to help her get her schoolwork done in his school office professionally? Okay, that's probably fine. But when it initiates seemingly kind of flirtatiously, then talking to a 17-year-old sounds a little bit different, doesn't it now? Something has a little bit of a different twist. Okay, I didn't know we can still talk. That's what he said. Of course, Ben Thorpe wants to debate it. Get Grace Thorpe in here too. I think that there's pretty obviously would be a bit of a problem depending on the conversation.
You have a predator in your chat who called me a DILF out of nowhere. I don't know this person. Call me a DILF. Dad, I'd like to fuck.
They didn't call you a DILF. I thought they said they like that they can call people DILF. They never actually added you.
She earlier did, as I understand it. Okay, so then I was saying the mods in here are crazy, which they are. I got timed out for nothing. And when asked why I got timed out, the answer was, because it's funny. There's a problem with that.
But do you think that, okay, whether the person's like said something flirtatious or not, do you think it's a little weird though to be like, we can keep talking after you've been flirting with somebody who then says, yo, I'm only 17, so I'm
okay, you said I have to be a professor. Okay.
No, I didn't say you have to be. I said
I can talk to a 17-year-old girl. Talk?
About what?
I just said talk. I can talk with you.
But here's the thing. No. The reason I said stop. The reason I brought up the professor example, I'm not saying you need to uniquely be specifically a professor. I'm saying, of course, there are contexts in which it's fine for you to talk to a 17-year-old girl in the most literal sense. And
one of them is in chat.
But when we are talking about somebody who says they're 17, after there have been flirtatious comments thrown back and forth, and then you say, oh, okay, I didn't know that, but we can still talk. Yeah. Well, then talk about what?
I don't think I have to shut down a conversation. Well, why don't you call this bitch out?
Why do you want to have a conversation with like a 17-year-old?
She lied about her age. She lied about her age. And then she said, I'm 19, but ha, ha, ha. Well,
even 19, like why? Bitch. But like, what would you have to relate to? If you brought up earlier that you were 50.
If she wants to say I'm a dad, if a 19-year-old wants to say you're a dad, I'd like to fuck, I'm fine to flirt with that person.
Okay, fine.
What's wrong with that?
Because the 17-year-old, what if they were 17? You would not be okay with that.
But what about lying, Hunter? Why don't we say you shouldn't lie about that?
You shouldn't lie about that. True.
And if she is 17,
if she said she was 17, is that was your cue to then be done? Not say we can keep talking. Not to be done.
I said, okay, I didn't know, but I'm happy to talk with you. I don't want to shut her down completely.
We can still talk. Then, so what was the plan? If they said, okay, cool, let's talk. And what would be the conversation? Like, how's your day going?
Well, a lot of people. Sure, I have a 16-year-old who's been as a mod in my daughter's chat. who I've openly said I'm happy to talk with her in an appropriate way, and I'm happy to meet with her. She's in a boarding school in Scotland. I'd be happy to, if I was taking a trip to England with my family, to meet with her as a fan. I think this idea that anyone under 18 who's of the opposite sex, but it's actually not the opposite sex, right? I get a lot of gay guys who I got sent a dick pic yesterday. I prefer they go to Grace and she can filter them and send them my way. I don't have any.
Okay, so are you saying that you would be open to just having like a platonic, non-inappropriate conversation with a 17-year-old who's a fan? Sounds like what you're saying there, which is fair, because if you have somebody who's like, hey, I like your content. Again, I'm not saying you must not speak to somebody who is underage, but when you've been flirting in a chat room, then they're like, yo, I'm 17. Yeah, they were lying. They admitted it later. But at the time, you didn't know that. They said, I'm 17. So you said, okay, didn't know that, but we can still talk anyway. But you were already talking before, and it was very flirtatious. So do you see how it kind of seems weird?
I think you can flirt with a 17-year-old, but obviously without the intent of
What? But hold on, no. Shut the fuck up, dude. You just got no. Stop.
You can just shut me down.
Be quiet.
No. Let me.
I will shut you down. No, because you were on here earlier bitching about internet etiquette, and now you're a 50-year-old guy messaging and flirting with 17-year-olds.
I can fuck that bitch. She can come over here, and I can fuck her. It's totally legal. She's 17, doesn't matter. I'm
actually not having a legal debate with you right now. I'm trying to have a moral debate with you, and clearly your morals as a Catholic are all fucking over the place. But what I was saying a minute ago,
she's playing the rape card on me by saying she's 17. If she's a whore and she wants to come over here and talk about fucking me, she's welcome to. I'm not interested in 17-year-olds.
If she says she's 17, then you should not continue to try. You should not pursue the conversation any further.
Well, I'm free to.
I'm not saying like legally you're not allowed to.
I don't know.
I'm saying morally and ethically, it's very disturbing and is very ethical or morally wrong.
Why aren't you telling her that? Why aren't you telling her that if she's 19 that she shouldn't send provocative sexual messages to an older man? Why is it? Why am I getting lectured?
This is wait. Hold on. That's true that if you are under the age of 18, you should not be sending nude photos. Yes, that's true. You could get in trouble for...
Well, should she be saying, you're a daddy, I'd like to fuck?
Can you please,
if in her state, the age is 18?
Yes, you should not be taking nude photos. And you, as the 17-year-old, as a minor, taking photos of yourself naked, could actually even face charges for that. That's happened before.
Well, she didn't take any pictures.
No, I know. But I'm just establishing that is obviously wrong.
She's being sexually flirtatious with me.
Saying DILF or even being flirtatious with you, okay.
Why can't she? Why can't she?
No, she can. But then upon you finding the information out that she's under the age of 18, that's when you're supposed to be the grown-up and say, okay, I didn't realize that. I take back my comments. Have a good rest of your day.
But I'd like to know what state she's coming from.
You said, okay, I didn't know that, but we can still talk.
Yeah. And if I find out that she's in a state like the state I'm in, where 16 is the age of consent, she's free to continue sexualizing if I want to and she wants to.
Okay. Stop backtracking to this. Stop backtracking. You're backtracking into a corner right now saying, I'm free to do this. Nobody's saying you're not free to do things, okay? You're also free to jump off a bridge naked. But
I don't think it's immoral.
You can do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care.
I don't think it's immoral.
You don't think it's immoral for a 50-year-old man to engage in sexual activity with somebody under the age of 18?
Flirting, no.
So would you think it was wrong to actually have sex with that person?
If we ended up I'm Catholic, right? So I don't believe in sexual activity outside of marriage. So could I have sex with a 17-year-old in the context of marriage? Could I conceive of that? Yeah, I could conceive of that. I could see the point, a 17-year-old.
Do you think it's immoral?
I want to bang out a bunch of kids. So you start by flirting with someone. If it ended up that we ended up in a relationship and, I had kids with her, I could see the argument for a 17-year-old if she was mature. I realize that it's not on the top of my list, but I could see it. You understand.
But do you understand the problem?
She's not a little girl.
I understand. I'm not saying she's a little girl. I'm not saying you're.
I'm
not saying you're a pedophile. I'm not saying that you're going after like babies. Okay, I'm not saying.
Yeah,
that.
you were though. You were like the chat was.
I said it was creepy. I never once said you were a pedophile. I'm actually very specific with that term.
What's creepy about it? What's creepy about if a 17-year-old
I'm trying to explain that to you. What's creepy about it is a 17-year-old
if she says I'd like to fuck you and I go that's interesting.
She didn't say that.
She said I'm a DILF.
Okay.
How is she not saying you're a dad? I'd like to fuck.
That's internet terminology. And even if you wanted to respond to that flirtatiously, I'm not faulting you for that. The only thing that was the problem is once she said she was 17, you then said, well, we can keep talking, when you should have said, okay, I didn't realize that. Have a good rest of your day anyway.
No, you're wrong. You're losing here. That's an L for you. I
How?
can talk to a 17-year-old. I can talk to a 14-year-old.
You're saying flirtatiously you could flirt with a 17-year-old or with a 14-year-old now?
Well, okay, we can get into this. An older man in a certain way can flirt. Now, the word flirt means two different things, right?
Wait.
If I say to a little
you're
girl,
not letting me establish my point enough, and I'm cutting you off a lot. I
can't flirt in a way to seal.
Let me just explain. First and foremost, earlier when we talked, you were complaining a little bit about some of the etiquette online. And I feel like if you wanted to be consistent, you would recognize how like just weird and creepy it is for a 50-year-old adult man to be like flirting 51. And then asking a 17-year-old to keep talking with him. So that's weird when we're talking about internet etiquette, first of all.
It's not
Second
wrong.
of all, hold on. Stop. Second of all, I am not saying that you are a pedophile. I'm simply saying that a 17-year-old is still incredibly young and immature compared to you. And so there is an unhealthy power dynamic, first and foremost, that makes it easier for you to take advantage of her if you wanted.
She has way more sexual power than I'd have.
You have no clue what you're talking about. Then how is it that girls... Wait, then how are underage girls groomed and raped then, if they have all the sexual power?
Sometimes they're groomed and raped. Sometimes they're the predator.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's... Do you agree or disagree that there would be a weird power dynamic there, that you would have more experience, more maturity, you would know more how to even... I'm not saying you would, but I'm saying you would at least know how to be more manipulative.
Okay, but...
She's talked about, you said, wait, hold on, sorry, one more thing.
Women don't know how to be manipulative.
You said, right. She shouldn't have sent those pictures to begin with. Sure.
She didn't send any pictures, Hunter. She did
I know, but you said that in the example, right?
No, I didn't. I didn't use the example of pictures. You created that in your mind.
You brought up pictures. You did. I never said you sent them to her, and you never said that. You said maybe if she sent pictures, it'd be different. And then I said, yeah, no, that's wrong. So
well, maybe you're right.
If you're saying that, then don't you accept also that it's a little bit...
I invite women to send me pictures, but I tell them, don't send me like, I don't want to see a genital picture. But they can send me a picture of a skirt they're wearing or outfit. I think it's nice.
Yeah, so like a 17-year-old flirting with and sending pictures of, maybe not nude pictures, but like pictures if they're supposed to be sexual, even like skimpy.
If she's in a state in which the consent law is 16, like here in Rhode Island, then, but even if actually, if she's fully dressed, okay, that gets into a gray area, but it's a gray area.
It's not though. It's because of the potential for harm.
No, you said it's creepy,
and it is.
Well, the potential. How do you feel about the whole ways, Hunter?
Well, no, it doesn't. No, this is where you're acting an idiot right now. A 17-year-old does not have nearly the same degree of power over a 50-year-old adult man who is fully self-sustaining compared to a girl still in fucking high school just because she has the quote sexual power. That is not how this works at all.
Have you ever read the novel Lolita by
And also, even if the age of consent is there, I'm not even arguing with that. It's just that if we're going to have all these conversations, at least the right way does, about groomers and the gay people and the groomers and whatnot.
Why don't you ever let me talk?
Because this is grooming, or at least opens the door for that.
Okay, so I don't have the right to talk. You put me on a fucking debate panel, but I can't talk.
Please, go ahead.
Okay, so have you ever read the novel Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov?
No.
Okay, so you're familiar with it. Is that right?
I'm not, but people are saying it disproves you, so I'm looking it up.
Lolita is a novel about an older man with a much younger, I don't know if she's underage, but I think she is. Okay. So it explores the dynamic, and the dynamic is on both sides of power dynamic. It is not a diatribe against men. It is not an anti-masculine book, but it is obviously, an exploration of these dynamics. Now, young females have a tremendous amount of sexual power, and some of them use it in a predatory way.
So this is the what was she wearing? But this was the what was she wearing argument. This was with because there was a 12-year-old girl who was wearing a skimpy bikini at the beach. Well, she used her sexual power to entice me. You see,
right? And
no,
maybe she wanted,
no,
maybe
no.
She wanted,
you're not actually agreeing with. I'm making fun of that argument.
Access to
no. It's not about what she was wearing. You get that, right? First and foremost, if we want to talk about like the crime of rape, oftentimes occurs far more so in regards to power dynamics and the desire to have power over somebody
on both
rather than
sides.
a sexual
That's right, on both sides.
Rather than a sexual desire. First and foremost. Second of all, if you're looking at a 12-year-old
Well,
And
it's not a debate if you just go no. If you just so no, then you're not responding to it.
I thought I just responded to it. Do you want to say?
Okay, let's say I'm a wealthy man. I'm somewhat of a wealthy man. Okay, that means that I'm a target for predation by females as well. Yes, I can hire an attorney.
Do you think a 12-year-old holds sexual power over like a 50-year-old man?
Now we're going to get into a very gray area. It depends, 12 can mean different things for different girls.
No. This is a very easy
one. I think
12 is a really easy one to not die on.
In terms of puberty, post-puberty. I agree, pedophilia is a whole different ball of wax, pre-puberty or in puberty, but there are 12-year-olds who are fully developed. Okay, so
if a 12-year-old was fully developed, wait, so if a fully developed 12-year-old was there, would you be chill with that? Like flirting with her, maybe, whatever?
Again, you have to distinguish between two types of flirting. I had a 10-month-old baby on my lap that I flirted with. Okay, in a certain sense. Okay, and you can say whatever.
No, I know that's creepy. Like the old school way of
but
using
she was sitting on my lap. I let her stroke my beard, and I was, you could say, physically intimate with her. But you know what I'm saying. Right?
I do know what you mean. Yes, of course. Your own child is very different.
No. It was a different child.
Different little baby even is different. That's like, I know it used to be like, oh, they're being flirty as in like being playful or nice or friendly or whatever. I get that. That is, I remember my grandpa using that term before like that. So that's fine. And it's kind of fine, whatever.
Pretty girl and all this stuff.
But that's not the type of flirting you're talking about with a 12-year-old in a bikini that you're saying holds sexual power.
I understand that. There is a different type of flirting where you're looking to, let's say, close, right? You're looking to seal the deal.
And I'm saying, is that okay and acceptable in your mind for you to do with a 12-year-old if she is fully developed?
No.
Okay. So no on the 12-year-old. Where do you draw the line?
I would say in the state of Rhode Island, the age of consent is 16. I don't think it's a crime.
Do you know that but do you know, okay, so do you understand the general argument, right? That the 16-year-old, you're right that at the point of 16, 17, 18, you're right. Like girls
16,
are
not 18, 16.
The age of consent at 16. Yeah, I'm saying around these ages. I'm not saying these are still like
but it's not
children. These are not like little girls. I get that. For a man
to have sex, it's not rape to have sex.
I'm not saying I'm not even saying it's a crime. I'm not arguing you about the law. I'm saying that we know based on literal research that the brain development of a 16-year-old is not quite there yet. It might be getting there, sure, but it is not there yet to the point that they are able to accurately analyze in-depth decisions, especially decisions relating to, do I want to engage in sexual activity with somebody who's much more older than I am? What are the implications of this? What is this going to lead to?
Okay, but
hold on, wait. Last thing. I promise I will let you talk.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
But last point is,
you've been respectful.
Yes. Last point is just simply that once you recognize this fact, you then have to acknowledge that even if you find a 16 or 17-year-old who happens to be all the way developed mentally, the likelihood no. Okay, the likelihood
you said mentally.
Yes, mentally. The likelihood of that is still lesser than. So there's a higher chance that you as an adult man are flirting with a girl who is not yet mentally able to fully consent to that kind of shit. So it comes across as very creepy and disturbing. That's my piece.
Okay, let's okay, you want to say creepy and disturbing. Okay, there are 16-year-olds who kill people, right? And we generally don't excuse it entirely that their brain's not developed.
Of course not.
No, 17-year-old. Okay, so
committing a crime like that is
a legal issue. It does run into a legal issue. You're not an adult. Should you be tried as an adult? I think there are sometimes tendencies to adultify 16-year-olds and ruin. I don't think a life sentence is appropriate for 16. I do think it's arbitrary. There are some 16-year-olds who damn well know what they're doing, who are premeditated, but I do think there is a point about development. I am not advocating for early marriages. I think a typical marriage in the United States with a typical teenager or a typical kid should be in the mid-20s, late 20s. But I know there are other cultures, such as Hispanic culture, in which earlier is culturally acceptable.
There are some cultures at times where it was okay to marry off babies, but that doesn't mean it's like
that's a different thing altogether. Right? That's a different thing altogether. But I think in some cultures, like Amish culture, I think would be one of these. A 16-year-old girl can be raised in a way that she fully understands her parents' consent, and at 16 she can get married.
That's not called being raised in a way. That's called being groomed to be married off as a child. That's called being groomed.
Okay, so you're saying Amish?
I'm not saying you are. I'm saying
people are. No, you're saying the Amish people are pedophiles.
That I am an ape.
I don't think that's
no,
really
not necessarily. But I think that if they are training their daughters from day one to prepare themselves for marriage at the age of 16, then yes, they are grooming their children.
I don't think I don't think every marriage will,
So any marriage that takes place under the age of 18 is legally and definitionally considered child marriage. So if you are grooming a daughter for child marriage, then I have a problem.
No, it's under 16. It's under 16. Most states would
16
say
and 17 you can have parental
16.
consent, but it would still be child marriage.
Well, okay, but I think it's 15, 14, 13 that usually is considered child marriage.
And then I also found this too, which just says the rational part of a teen's brain isn't fully developed and won't be until age 25. Again, I'm not saying you need to wait till somebody's fully developed, but there are stages of development.
Okay, but let me push back a little bit,
hold on, please.
Hunter.
In fact, recent research has found that adult and teen brains work differently. Adults think with the prefrontal cortex, the brain's rational part. So teens, a 16-year-old girl you're trying to flirt with, is not actually developed enough so to really weigh the rational implications of this. So it's grooming.
Let's chain up all females until they're 25 years old. Hunter can decide.
You just keep putting this on the women. No, let's chain up all creepy dudes who thinks it's okay to flirt with a 16-year-old because they think she's hot.
Why do you have to chain me up? Why don't you chain them up?
Because there's one type of person who is the adult, who has more power and is pursuing the younger person, the victim. And then there's the victim. Hold on, shut the fuck up.
You don't believe women are people. I believe women are people.
Then there
I'm
are
the feminist.
Can you shut the fuck up, please? So there are two different things here. There are the adults, which would be you in this case, who is fully mentally and rationally developed enough so to think through rational, complex decisions. Okay, and then there is somebody under the age of 18 whose brain has not yet reached that point.
Okay, but let me push back a little bit here. There is a problem that, for example, my younger daughter is 13. She has friends who are sexually active, really sexually active at 13.
And do you think it's okay if that 13-year-old were hooking up with a 50-year-old guy?
Well, okay, so this is an interesting question. So they are sexually active in, our society. That's not rare, although it's not every girl, and I presume it's not my daughter, although, of course, I don't know. But I'm saying there is a way in which, so this is going to be a hot take, but I think it's true, and I think your female audience will know this. Let's say a 13 or 14-year-old girl gets a lot from being with a guy who's 17 or 18 years old because he's got a car, he can take her to, right? He can obtain things for her that she can't get. So it gives her cachet within her peer group, okay? And a penis, Hunter, is a penis. A 14-year-old can get a 14-year-old pregnant, an 18-year-old. It's no different. And you can make
what is the point of this?
Well, you can make the argument that actually it's healthier in some ways if a teen who doesn't have decision-making capabilities is with a somewhat older man, and this is how traditionally it works, because he will keep it from, like a 14-year-old boy is going to be out of control, right? It's going to be less likely to act rationally. So as
maybe we should just wait till the woman reaches a point in which she can think rationally.
Well, you tell them then. You tell every female. So you want to do like a kind of hymen sealing. You're going to weld their vaginas shut until they reach an age.
What are you talking about right now? Wait. You just tried to tell me that
a sexualized culture.
When you said a 13 or 14-year-old hooking up with what age person? Like an adult?
I'm saying you could argue that if my daughter is going to, at 13, is going to be promiscuous, I'd rather have her be promiscuous with a 19-year-old than with another 13-year-old. In some ways, that's more likely to be stable than with another 13-year-old, because a dick's a dick. And
no, because it's not just more likely to be quote unquote stable. It's also way more likely for that young girl to be manipulated. The commonality of younger girls dating guys that are a little bit older and then being manipulated sexually by those guys happens a lot, okay?
Yeah.
I have people in my family who have dated at the age of 14, and they have attested that. Looking back now, they realized there were all sorts of ways that they were actually manipulated by this older guy, and there was a total fuck up. So,
I'm not in favor of any of this stuff, but I'm saying you could make an argument that
you're saying if they're going to be promiscuous, you would prefer it be the statutory rape version. That's your argument right now.
They're both technically statutory rape, although it's just not enforced within. There's usually
you keep going back to this, and this is why I keep cutting you out, and then I need to just establish this. So if we have adults who have fully rational brains, and then we have 16-year-olds who don't, then the 16-year-old is not the one who's playing a role in enticing the adult. Even if that adult is going to look at the 16-year-old and be like, wow, she looks hot
true.
for whatever. Hold on. Even if they're going to say she looks hot, the adult, as being the adult with the more rational brain, is the one who is supposed to say, no, I'm not going to pursue that. You don't blame it on the immature one who is not fully formed and is being chased, arguably, by predators. Like, this is ridiculous.
Okay, but what if she's initiating the chase? And then what if we're talking about 16?
Then it's your job as the man.
It's not statutory rape. It's not statutory rape. It's 16. In Rhode Island, it's not.
Oh,
okay.
I didn't say statutory. I was talking statutory rape at the age of 13 with a 19-year-old.
Yeah,
so
I understand.
what was your
but
question
you understand what I'm saying. It's an interesting. Like, a penis is a penis. The damage.
I don't need to hear any more about penises. I need you to repeat what you said before.
Well, Hunter, okay,
oh yeah, what if the woman is pursuing you? That's what you said.
Buddy.
You said, what if she's pursuing you? What if the girl is pursuing you?
Well,
in a case like that,
as
soon as you find out that she's under the age of 18, and honestly, as an adult man, I'm 26, I would not go out with a 19-year-old girl. I wouldn't even do that. 21 is probably the youngest I would go out with a girl.
Under no circumstances whatsoever would you
go out with I would maybe 19 if it was like some kind of weird exception, but never 18. No way. I would be way too fucking uncomfortable with that. And so
yeah, I understand there does become a dynamic
it's probably
that can
chill
be
with being with a 16-year-old because the age of consent, bruh, without even thinking about the nuances of brain development and whatnot, comes across as very, very just naive and creepy. You keep going back to that word. Creepy.
Right, so you're saying there can be a way in which a dad-daughter kind of dynamic within a relationship can be like not a healthy way because you're kind of never going to be equals. I agree with that. I don't think it's necessarily the case in every case that is going to be the dynamic. But here's the point I would make. Females are interested in that dynamic more than men are interested in that dynamic.
Okay, but even if that's true, I'm telling you right now, let's say there's a 16-year-old girl who is pursuing you. She's in your DMs. She's even trying to send you pictures without you even asking. All of this shit, okay? She is totally 100% pursuing you.
Okay, now, I would say the pics would be a red flag. There's something wrong there.
Okay, fine. Maybe no pics then, but just like trying to flirt with you. At the point in which you find out she is 16, that's where you're supposed to say,
you're saying me as a 51-year-old.
Yes, I'm saying if you are looking at all these messages, you're a DILF, I want to hook up, you're hot, where can we hang out, blah, blah. And then you find out, oh, I'm only 16. Then you're supposed to say, okay, well, I'm an adult, go back to school, kid. And then block that person. That's it.
Okay.
You're saying, oh, okay, well, we can still talk we can still chat. How are you? Are you cute? What are you wearing? Haha. No, now you've crossed boundaries.
I could certainly chat. I don't have to. I have to block her from all media and say I can't.
You don't have to do any of this. I'm saying this is the smart thing to do if you don't want to come across like being a groomer. Because a 50-year-old flirting with somebody who is still not fully developed enough so to weigh the rational implications of their decisions is creepy and groomy. Because you are taking advantage of somebody who is not yet able to think for themselves, and you are molding them to fit.
Okay, so you don't think a 16-year-old woman can think for herself? Okay, so
no, I think she can, but I don't think she can enough so to really be hooking up with 50-year-old guys.
Okay, but she's hooking. Well, let's say she's hooking up anyway. So so. Yes, I agree with you. Premarital sex is not a good idea. But I think it's happening. So, is it better? Let's use the example. Jerry Seinfeld in his late 30s or 40s
happening, dude.
Ended up dating a girl who was 17 who then turned 18 before I think they had any relations. I don't think that makes him a creepy man. She came from a traditional family. They approved of their relationship, and she stayed with him for a number of months, and he treated her with respect, I think. I get that it can, but just because something can be immoral doesn't mean it is immoral.
No. It's not that it just can be. It's that the likelihood of it being immoral versus not being is astronomical. So I don't know the situation with Jerry Seinfeld. It sounds like they didn't really last anyway. But I can tell you right now that the likelihood of abuse taking place with those power dynamics, it's not always even this like evil older man manipulating, but it could just be you're way more mature and the woman is way not mature and not even really thinking rationally all the way yet. So she's just kind of deferring to you, and that leads to you grooming her into engaging with sex with you for whatever.
But Hunter, don't you think it could also be she was 18 by the time I think they were really going together? Don't you think she could be seen as a potential gold digger? She's going out with this incredibly wealthy man who's
I
like
don't know.
the
Why does
number
this
one,
have to
right?
do with anything? This has nothing to
Well,
do
there's
with
such a thing
you
as a
flirting
gold
with a
digger, isn't there?
16-year-old.
Isn't there such a thing as a gold? I'm saying there's predatory activity on both sides. Generally speaking, if there's a wide age gap, it's riskier. Okay, on both sides. Okay, I agree. But I'm not saying you can't just say it's creepy.
Are you
and
trying
just
to?
say,
I'm not
it's
saying.
immoral.
Wait. I didn't just say it's creepy and that's it.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. I explained to you why it was creepy. And if you don't remember that, then that's on you. Because I
Well,
said it like
you
5
can
times.
say some people will see that as creepy.
I didn't say some people.
But
I
you
talked about
said
brain
it
development.
comes
I'm
across
reading here
as
of University of Rochester. The rational part of a teen's brain isn't fully developed and won't be until age 25 or so. In fact, recent research has found that adult and teen brains work differently. Adults
Right.
think with the prefrontal cortex, which is the more rational part of your brain.
Okay, so but maybe sometimes a female whose brain isn't very well developed can entrust herself to a man who will help make her good.
If she's
help her
under
to
the
make
age of
good
18,
decisions.
she cannot entrust herself to that man because she does not have
can.
the capacity by which she can make that adequate consensual decision.
Well, not according to like the long-standing legal tradition of the West. 16
Law
is,
and science, my friend. You're not just arguing with law here. You're arguing with the scientific literature, which
okay.
shows
So according
the
to you,
cognitive
women can't
development.
make any decisions that they'll be held accountable for until they're 25
Did I say
years old.
any
Okay,
decision?
So you hate,
Did I say every
you hate
decision?
young women. You
Did I say
hate young
every
women.
decision? There's a difference
Well,
between
I don't know.
a decision like,
Any
I
decision
think
that
I'm
will
ready to
have
start deciding to
consequences.
pursue a school, this extra credit class, versus do I want to engage in sexual activity with an adult man?
Well, let's take the actual situation. Whatever this chick was, she sent me a text that said, "You're a DILF." I didn't see the text, but she then, I was having an argument with your mods who are fucking fascist losers. Should get new mods in there.
You're not, not the literal groomer defender calling my mods losers, bro.
Okay, so
you've lost
okay,
this conversation.
So fuck you, Hunter. You've lost on every level.
Okay.
You can't. I'm arguing a point, and you're already the judge, jury, and executioner. So now, because I'm arguing a point intelligently,
My friend,
in a
you're the
sophisticated
executioner
way,
here.
you
You
then
just shot
use that-
yourself in the
I am
foot with this
executioner.
conversation.
You're dead on YouTube. You are dead on the internet. I'm gonna fucking kick your ass.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Please,
you
Daddy.
Watch. You
Please,
watch.
Daddy,
You're
no.
done. You're done. Fuck
Okay.
you, Hunter.
Don't you have like 2 subscribers? Wait, are you you're leaving? Okay. What a fucking bitch. He was actually just straight up pro grooming. That man was pro groomer, bro.